Have you ever reached the point where you wanted to give up? Not because you stopped believing in God, but because you couldn't understand what He was doing. You prayed. You waited. You cried. You trusted. Yet nothing seemed to change. If that's where you are today, don't leave this video, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you see your current season. The Bible is filled with people who experienced moments that looked like complete failure. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold as a slave, falsely accused, thrown into prison. If anyone had looked at Joseph's life during those years, they would have concluded that God's promises had failed. But heaven saw something different. Every prison door, every painful delay, every unfair accusation was preparing Joseph for the position God had already planned. Here's what we often forget. God works where our eyes cannot see. Think about a seed. The moment it is buried, it disappears. If someone walked past the field a few days later, they would think absolutely nothing was happening. But underground, life was beginning. Roots were growing. Strength was forming. The greatest part of the miracle happened before anyone could see it. Your life may feel exactly like that seed. Buried, hidden, forgotten. But buried doesn't always mean dead. Sometimes it means planted. And planted things grow. David understood this truth. Before becoming king, he spent years taking care of sheep. Later he lived in caves. He ran from Saul. He experienced loneliness, fear, rejection. Those seasons made no sense while he was living them. But every difficult day was building the leader Israel needed. God wasn't delaying David. He was developing David. Maybe that's exactly what God is doing in your life. You're asking for immediate answers. God is building lasting character. You're asking for a quick solution. God is preparing a permanent transformation. Waiting is one of the hardest parts of faith, because our human nature wants immediate results. We live in a world where almost everything happens instantly. Instant messages, instant shopping, instant entertainment. But spiritual growth rarely happens instantly. Faith grows slowly. Wisdom develops slowly. Character is built slowly. Even the strongest trees spend years growing roots before they reach their full height. If they grew too quickly, they wouldn't survive the first storm. Perhaps God isn't making you wait because He has forgotten you. Perhaps He's strengthening your roots. The Apostle Paul experienced hardships most of us cannot imagine. He was imprisoned, beaten, rejected, shipwrecked, yet he continued to trust God. Not because life was easy, but because he knew God was faithful. Faith isn't believing that everything will happen exactly when we want. Faith is believing that God remains good even when we don't understand His timing. That changes everything. Maybe today you're praying for healing, or restoration, a new opportunity, a financial breakthrough, a relationship to be restored. Don't stop praying. Every sincere prayer matters. The answer may not arrive according to your schedule, but God has never been late. Sometimes He says yes. Sometimes He says wait. Sometimes He says, I have something even better. One day Joseph understood why the prison existed. One day David understood why the caves existed. One day Moses understood why the wilderness existed. One day you'll also understand why this season existed. And even if you don't understand everything on this side of eternity, you can still trust the one who sees the entire picture. Jesus Himself experienced what appeared to be complete defeat. The cross looked like the end. His followers lost hope. Darkness covered the land. Everything seemed finished. But what looked like defeat became the greatest victory in history. The resurrection reminds us that God specializes in bringing life out of situations that seem impossible. That's why your current chapter is not the final chapter. If God can transform a prison into a palace, a shepherd into a king, a cross into salvation, He can transform your situation too. So don't let today's pain convince you that tomorrow has no hope. Don't let silence convince you that God has stopped working. Don't let delay convince you that you've been forgotten. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Because even when you cannot see Him, God is still moving. He's opening doors you don't know exist, protecting you from dangers you cannot see, preparing people who will enter your life at the right moment, working behind the scenes with a wisdom far greater than our own. Before you leave, I want to encourage you with one simple truth. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. The same God who walked with Joseph in prison, who strengthened David in the wilderness, who comforted Paul in prison, and who raised Jesus from the dead, is walking beside you today. Take one more step. Pray one more prayer. Believe one more time, because your breakthrough may be much closer than you think. If this message encouraged you, write in the comments, "I will keep trusting God." Your words may become the encouragement that another person desperately needs today. And if you want more messages that strengthen your faith every week, subscribe to the channel and join this community. Remember this as you continue your journey. God is never absent. He is often working most powerfully when you cannot see Him at all.